All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that's running in the background of pretty much everything we do online. We're going to answer a really big question. What exactly is cybersecurity?
Just think about it for a second. Every single day, you're sending messages, you're checking your bank account, you're posting photos, and some invisible shield is working nonstop to keep all of that stuff safe. Well, that shield is cybersecurity, and we're going to figure out exactly how it works.
So to really get why this all matters, we have to start with this basic idea. Our lives, so much of them, are now happening online.
So what is it really? Well, at its core, cybersecurity isn't just one thing. It's a whole collection of different technologies, rules, and best practices all working together. And the goal is pretty simple: to protect our digital stuff, everything from your personal laptop to the giant systems that run our electricity, from attacks. Think about just how connected we are. Your photos, your company's secrets, even critical things like the power grid, it's all online. Cybersecurity is the thing that stands guard, making sure that your private information stays private and that the services we all depend on don't get damaged or just disappear.
Okay, so how do the pros, the people who actually do this for a living, think about protecting all this information? Well, they use a core concept, a foundational model known as the CIA Triad.
And no, it has absolutely nothing to do with spies or secret agents. In cybersecurity, CIA stands for the three main goals of any good security system: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These three pillars are basically the bedrock of keeping information safe.
So let's just quickly break this down. First, you've got confidentiality. Super simple, keeping secrets secret, just like you expect your Gmail inbox to be private. Then there's integrity. This is all about trust, making sure information is true and hasn't been messed with. Like when you send a WhatsApp message, you expect it to arrive exactly as you sent it. And finally, there's availability. This is all about access, making sure a service is actually running when you need it, like your banking app. Okay, let's dig into each of these a bit more.
All right, so let's explore each of these pillars one by one. We'll start with keeping secrets, then we'll move on to making sure information is true, and finally, we'll talk about guaranteeing access.
First up, confidentiality. This is probably the one you think of the most. It's all about making sure that only the right people can see the information. To put it simply, your secrets should stay secret. Now, the main tool for this is something called encryption. It basically just scrambles data into a code that's totally unreadable to anyone who doesn't have the key. And the result of that is something we all use every day: a private Gmail inbox. Thanks to this idea of confidentiality, only you can actually read your emails. So what happens when confidentiality fails? Well, that's when you get what's called a data breach. This is when all that private, protected information gets seen or copied or stolen by someone who was never supposed to have it. It's kind of like your private diary getting published for the whole world to see.
Okay, next up is integrity. This is about making sure that our data is accurate and trustworthy. It's the promise that the information we're seeing is the real deal, and that it hasn't been changed or tampered with along the way.
So how does this work? Well, one of the main tools is a technique called hashing, which creates a unique digital fingerprint for a piece of data. If even one tiny little thing is changed, that fingerprint no longer matches. And that's what gives you trust in your daily life. It's how you know that the WhatsApp message you just sent is the exact same one your friend receives, without a single letter being changed. And a failure of integrity? Wow, it can be absolutely catastrophic. Just imagine sending a bank transfer for $100, but someone intercepts it and changes it to $1,000. That's a violation of integrity, and it really shows you why making sure data is true is just as critical as keeping it secret.
All right, the final pillar of our triad is availability. What good is security if it locks you, the owner, out of your own stuff? This principle just means that the systems and the data need to be up and running for the right people whenever they need them.
On the technical side of things, companies achieve this with stuff like regular backups and having redundant systems. Basically, having a plan B and a plan C ready to go at a moment's notice. For us, the result is simple. You expect to be able to log into your email or get to your files in the cloud anytime, day or night. That right there is availability in action. Now, a breach of availability is something a lot of us have actually experienced, even if we didn't have a name for it. The most common one is a distributed denial of service attack, or DDoS. This is when attackers just flood a website with so much garbage traffic that it gets completely overwhelmed and just crashes. It becomes unavailable for all the legitimate users like you and me.
Okay, so now we have the core framework: confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
To really talk about this stuff, we need to learn a few more key terms. Think of it as learning the basic vocabulary of digital defense. These 4 terms actually tell a story. It all starts with an asset. That's something valuable, like your personal data. That asset has a vulnerability, which is just a weakness, like a really simple password. Then a threat shows up. That's a hacker looking to exploit that weakness. And when you put all of that together, you get risk, the chance that the threat will succeed and your asset will be harmed.
So how can we actually use all this in the real world? Let's take what we've learned and put it to the test on a service that probably every single one of us uses.
We've mentioned it a few times, so let's actually analyze it. How does a super popular app like WhatsApp really stack up against our CIA framework? Can this model help us understand how it keeps us safe?
Okay, let's run it through the checklist. For confidentiality, WhatsApp uses end-to-end encryption. That means only you and the person you're talking to can read the messages. Check. For integrity, like we said, it has systems to make sure your message doesn't get changed in transit. Check. And for availability, well, they have a massive system to make sure the service is almost always online. It hits all 3 boxes.
And that's the real point here. The CIA Triad isn't just some technical thing for experts. It's a powerful mental model that you can use starting right now. The next time you sign up for a new service, you can actually ask yourself, how are they protecting my confidentiality? How do they guarantee the integrity of my information? And is it going to be available when I really need it?
So now you understand the 3 main goals of cybersecurity, the principles of defense. But defense always implies there's an offense. So who are the threats? Who are these attackers trying to break through all these defenses, and what do they want? Well, we'll get into all of that in the next explainer. Thanks for tuning in.